church in general really wasn't what I cared for. We always had duties in school. One of the things was to collection. And I kind of like taking collection. Because what I would do is you take the collection, I get to the back of the church, I go out the door, cut the service short. Now, I don't particularly want to cut services short anymore. In fact, sometimes they're too short. Pastor sermons are long. It's all we get enough singing here, I'm telling you. But anyway, I hate to put it this way, but the truth is that Yogi Berra, I think some people know him, the great philosopher, who said when you reach a fork in the road, take it. That's what I chose to do, is take it. I went to Sunday school. The church liked me. In fact, the church even offered me a free scholarship. But the reasons were because I was on the poorer side of the tracks. Our family didn't have much money. It was a very rich church, and it was really a nice thing to do. But even then, I was full of false pride. I won't take it. I said, no, I'm not going to take that. I wouldn't do it. And there's other times in my life where I was off with a broken back one time, and I was off for almost 6 months. And the firemen and a bunch of people, they come in the house, they brought turkeys and bags of groceries. I set them back. And we had no food left, really. We were about out of food. But I set them back. That's what false pride is, when you put yourself above everybody else. And that's one thing being in church has taught me, is accept things and be gracious about it. Anyway, when I was young, we did do a lot of pranks, which I was not taught in Sunday school. And I don't know which one to tell. There's been a lot of them, but here's one. One time when my buddy and I, we were out on the river, and he found this little chest that was wrapped over a small chest. It was full of slugs. You know what a slug is?
Yes.
Little 10-cent slugs. Now, we found out we could put those slugs in a candy machine, get a candy bar and a nickel bath. Hey, I have thousands of these things. Go get a Pepsi, didn't cost anything. Go to the airport, you get a Coke for a nickel. Get a nickel back. And man, we were hitting everywhere. And another thing we were doing in between there is the phone booth. On my way to school, I put cotton under the phone booth. On my way back, I'd pull it and all the change would come out and it didn't fall through. So we had two things going there. Well, the police started looking for everybody that had these. They didn't have the rockers in the phone, and it just dropped straight through, just to let you know. But anyway, we did not have the police force. It was a two-man police force, I believe. And they were after these criminals. So we threw them back in, and that was the end of that. But it was good while it lasted. Did I feel that I was doing the right thing? Everybody in your gut knows that doesn't have anything wrong upstairs. I knew I did wrong, but I did it anyway. I went into the service. I was 17 years old. I was in data processing. We worked long hours, short hours, a lot of long hours. And I was pretty good at what I did. Or actually, in the whole Army, we had less heirs in the site that I worked on, that I was site chief of. But on the other hand, when it was time to come home go to bed, we had a midnight curfew. That never meant anything to me. And I would get in trouble. One time I was dancing at the Volksfest in Nuremberg. I was stationed there, and the MP comes up behind me, grabs me in the shoulder. I ball up my fist and take a big swing at him. Well, they took me back in the Jeep, sent me back to my main base. There again, there goes my strike. I couldn't keep them because I could not listen, because there's structure. And the structure I have learned has been in this church and other churches, but especially this church. And the reason I say that, they do so many things. There's so much outreach. There's so much help. That's a big deal there. But anyway, this church has done a lot. And to give you one example, when Bonnie was in the hospital, she was just recently there. She was there for 7, 8 days, very ill. I'm lucky that she made it. But she got 20 plus cars. Now, when I was in the hospital, you know how many I got? You guys like her best. I can tell. But anyway, this church has a budget. All churches do. But when I was first started going to church, which is basically because of Bonnie, I became vice president of the council. It was a small church, so you needed a lot of help. One of my jobs was maintenance. We needed a new roof, we needed a new furnace, we needed this, we needed that. And we were actually spending a lot more than we were taking in. And the one thing that we needed a new furnace, and I think it was like $4,000 then, but our heating costs and our cooling costs, well, we didn't have very good. Just like they don't on the first service here. We had a $4,000 heating bill. And this is 22, 23 years ago. That's a pretty whopping heating bill. And we weren't even taking in that much at the time. So the church had $100,000, but you weren't allowed to use the interest on it. I think people are familiar with that. So we voted to take a chunk of that and get all these things done. The church grew. The church became successful, and it would have never made it if it wouldn't have been for the people that come in that, well, most of them tithed, that tithed and helped out and gave money to their building fund. The church would have been long gone. It's, as far as I know, it's still, this is in Cleveland, you know, it's, as far as I know, the church is still doing well. And there was a moral to that story. That church would have fell if it wouldn't have been for people in this church that do tithe. I recommend tithing because it's very easy. If you're married, your wife will write the check, put it in the envelope. I take it back out of the envelope, put it in my pocket. Who knows the difference? And I just have to say one other thing about how I come to even get back into religion. You know, it's not like a lot of people think. I was walking down the road one day and said, oh, I think I'll go to church. I don't think that usually happens. I think there's always something in somebody's life that brings it to them because we don't have the same structure, which is very important. And what church gave me is freedom through structure. When I was free, without this structure, I was more handcuffed than I ever was in my whole life. Because the church teaches you, through the Bible, what you can do, what you can't do, how to do it, when to do it. And if you follow the teachings of the Bible, you're going to be all right. But if you follow the teachings like my teaching, the old selfish Jim, who didn't want to put the money into the church, so he didn't go, that was one reason. I know, I said the mountains, the rivers, the lakes,